Hello and welcome to my Yu-Gi-Oh channel. Make sure to subscribe for more daily Yu-Gi-Oh content. So today we've got some more archetype support for a very old archetype, the Gustos. These came around the Synchro era, I think within the first year. And actually, surprisingly, they might actually be a lot stronger than they used to be, especially with this additional support. First one is Gusto Avetha. It's a level 3 Wing Beast tuner monster. It's got 600 attack and 1000 defense. You can only use this card's name's first and second effects once per turn each. 1. If a face-up Gusto monster is destroyed by battle or sent to your graveyard, and this card is in your hand, you can special summon this card. 2. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can send one Gusto monster from your deck to the graveyard, then you can special summon one Gusto monster from your hand. Okay, so with this card, I think it's really flexible and does give you a lot of options. For starters, if you've just got a Gusto on your field, it can just be special summoned. It being a tuner means you're instantly able to just go into a Synchro monster. The secondary ability matters because it's both whether it's normal or special summoned, so it can actually be triggered as of the effect of the first part of the card, to be able to just Foolish Burial one of your Gusto monsters in exchange to special summon something else to the field. It does have to be a Gusto monster that you send, as well as a Gusto monster that you special summon. However, you do have some level 5 or higher Gustos, and it's a good way of getting those cards out without having to use the required tribute. Digasto pilika is a level 6 Wind Earth. It's a level 6 Wind attribute Psychic type Synchro effect monster. For some reason they don't mention the attack and defense of the card, it seems to be hidden. The materials are 1 tuner and 1 or more non-tuner Gusto monsters, and the effect is you can only special summon a Digasto pilika once per turn. 1. If this card is Synchro summoned, you can activate this effect. You cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn, except wind monsters. Also, special summon 2 Gusto monsters, 1 each from your hand and deck, but their effects are negated. And if you do, immediately after this effect resolves, Synchro summon 1 Gusto Synchro monster using only those 2 monsters. 2. Your opponent cannot target other Gusto Synchro monsters you control with card effects. So what I love about this card is the ability to immediately go into another Synchro summon. It's a decent effect because it allows you to go into follow-up plays, but the thing is, even though it's a restriction of wind attribute monsters, we are recently getting a confirmation of new wind attribute support for some of the main duelist characters, so they're going to be specific archetypes that already have a decent amount of support to them. The secondary ability is also quite useful, because this does provide your Synchro monsters that are Gusto archetype with a level of card protection. And the final card is Gusto Tailwind. This is an equip spell card with the effect equip only to a Gusto monster. You can only use this card's name's second and third effects once per turn each. 1. The equipped monster cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. 2. During your main phase, you can activate one of these effects based on the equipped monster's level/rank. 4 or lower, special summon 1 Gusto monster with a different type from your deck. 5 or higher, special summon 1 level 1 tuner from your deck. And 3. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then discard 1 wind attribute monster to add 1 Gusto spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. So this does provide you with a lot of flexibility, but it is quite weird it's an equipped spell card. Might have helped actually if it had been a continuous spell card, which could have impacted on all your Gustos, even if it had been varying effects. The ability does provide a level of protection from the opponent's card effects as part of the main effect, which is decent. A lot of what your Gustos want to try and do is to battle and crash into your opponent's monsters to be able to inflict reflect damage to them, so that's actually a way of protecting them from any number of different effects, and that means they can be protected from monsters, spell and traps. As for the secondary ability, I think this is a little unusual. I don't think there are any Xyz monsters that are Gustos, so they might actually get a little bit more support in the future. The 4 or lower to be able to just special summon another Gusto is fine, because it can be a Gusto pretty much of any level and of any, it can be a tuner or a non-tuner depending on what you need. 5 or higher, it has to be specific to a level 1 tuner. So I would argue that actually the lower levels and the lower ranks are a little bit better than the higher ones. As for the third effect, it's again a bit of a Foolish Burial effect. It's good to get rid of one of your wind attributes, most likely another Gusto. In exchange, you then get one of your Gusto spell or traps. Depending on what you need, you've got that level of flexibility.